Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel and today I'm finally sitting down and filming a sit down video. But I thought I would sit down and give you guys my semester 1 reflection of 2017. And my oh my, it has been a very busy semester and I have so much to talk about. If you guys haven't seen one of these before, all of last year I did reflections either every semester or every term, just kind of reflecting on the semester and reflecting on my time, what I did, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I wish I could have done better, and things like that. So here I am to talk about my university and moving out experience, because that is what has happened in my life in the past semester, and I thought you guys would be really interested in it. You guys really wanted me to film reflections throughout university as well as I did during high school, so here I am. And this is a really long introduction, so we're gonna get into the video. So my reflection begins when I started university, which was the very end of February or the very start of March, I can't remember which. Basically, I graduated high school last year, finished grade 12, and I went straight into university this year. I am studying psychology, if you're wondering, and yeah, this is my first semester. I've finished my first semester of university, which is really exciting. Also, on March 6th, I moved out, which was either the same week that I started uni or the second week that I had uni, which I can't really remember. And my first piece of advice is to not do that. I do not regret going to uni and I do not regret moving out, but I do kind of regret doing them both in the same 2 weeks or the same week. It was extremely stressful, extremely difficult, and it's just so much newness that it was very hard to get used to. I don't really recommend doing that. I would recommend maybe either moving out a little bit before you start uni or maybe once you've settled into uni. I don't know, it's different for everyone, but I found it very difficult. I'm gonna talk about moving out and like university in two separate categories. So I'm gonna talk about moving out first and then I'll move on to university stuff. So I currently live in a share house, and basically that means that I have this landlord and she owns the house and she rents out the rooms to different people. The share house that I live in is only for girls, so I know that I'll only ever be living with girls. There's only 3 people that can live in this share house, 2 upstairs and 1 downstairs, and so it's not like a huge amount of people, but yeah, I live in a share house. I do not get to choose who I live with. They are all like pretty much randoms. That in itself is a very risky move. Share houses can be great things, but they can also be very risky. And I don't know if I ever want to move into another share house again. I didn't have a terrible experience, but it is just quite a risky thing because you don't know who you're going to be living with. They could be great people, they could be terrible people, and you just don't know. If you're looking at moving out, I would probably recommend moving out with people that you know, at least like your friends, or even if they're not like your best friends, but you just kind of know who they are. It's still better than moving out with strangers, in my opinion. When I moved into this house, basically, although 3 people can live in this house, I live upstairs. The person who lives downstairs basically has their own little mini house downstairs, and the people who live upstairs is like 2 people living in one house. I moved into this house and there was another girl living here. She was in her 20s and she worked full-time and she didn't study or anything like that, and she worked in hospitality and it was like a bar kind of thing, and so she would work very late nights, so she would come home at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I work in retail and I was going to uni, which was all during the daytime, so that was kind of difficult because she would be getting home at like 3 or 4 in the morning and I would be waking up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, which I know really annoyed her, but like there was nothing I could do about it because I had to go to work, I had to go to uni, and whatever. It's just really difficult having 2 people who have very different lifestyles living together, and we were such different ages as well. We never like really got to know each other, but I didn't really try to because I wasn't moving here to make friends. I moved here because I needed a place to live, but we hardly even saw each other anyway. We were on very different schedules, so it was just very difficult. I've never had a roommate before and I didn't end up enjoying that experience. This girl, I'm not trying to bag her out at all. She was not a bad person. She was a very nice person, but she was not a good roommate. I don't want to go into the details or anything like that because I don't think it's fair or like a nice thing to do to bag people out on the internet or even just in general at all, but she just wasn't very considerate of other people living with her, if that makes any sense. When you're living with people and sharing a space, you have to be quite neat and quiet at times when they need you to be quiet, and you just have to be aware of what they're doing and what they need from you, and they should be doing the same for you. But a month and a half after I moved in, her lease finished and she moved out. to a different place that was, I think was closer to her job or wherever else anyway. And ever since then, I have lived upstairs by myself in this house, which I adore. I love living by myself. I've had a lot of people ask me if I get lonely or if I get scared living by myself, and no, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I do want to mention though that I cried every single night for the first week that I was living here, like when I moved out. Like, it's really weird to wake up and not have your family there when that's what you've done for the past 18 years of your life. I felt homesick, yeah. I think that's probably the right word to use. I felt homesick. After that first week, I slowly got used to it, and especially once the other girl moved out, the thing was, this whole house was full of her furniture when she lived here. I literally felt like I just had my room and that was it, because everything in the house was pretty much hers apart from like my pantry and all of my cooking stuff and like the stuff in the kitchen. Like, she had the couches, she had the TV, she had everything. And although she was happy to share those things with me, I just felt like it wasn't my home. And once she moved out, I started furnishing it my way and with my own things. And ever since then, I have felt a lot more at home. I feel a lot more comfortable. But in saying that, this still isn't my home. And I think I'll always consider my parents' house as my home, because that is where I've basically grown up for the past like 10 years or so. But I still do love living here. Going along with the moving out stuff, I have loved the responsibility of moving out. I love the cooking, I love the cleaning, I love vacuuming. I used to hate vacuuming, now I love it. I love just like cooking my own meals and, you know, eating what I want to eat and doing what I want to do, and I love the independence of it. I love it. Grocery shopping is one of my favorite things. Like, it's just great. And I know a lot of people who move out, they often struggle with those things, like the cooking or the cleaning or just like knowing how to do those things. And although I didn't know how to do all those things when I moved out, I knew how to do quite a few of them. I didn't know how to do all of it. You just learn as you go along, and I think that's just something you have to understand. But yeah, I've loved that sort of side of moving out. I also haven't struggled with money, which I am so happy about. I live here, I pay for absolutely everything. I pay for rent, petrol, groceries, gas, water, electricity, car insurance, phone bill, internet. I pay for everything. And I am honestly proud of myself that I've never had to borrow money from anyone. I've never run out of money, and I've always really stuck to my budget. I think that's a really important thing when you're moving out. You need to know that you can afford it before you move out. And I worked out a very strict budget before I moved out, so I knew I'd be able to afford it. And I just have to make sure I work enough shifts in a week or a fortnight to make sure I can afford everything that I need to afford. And so far that has worked fine for me. You have to be strict with yourself, but in my budget, I also allow for things like going out for breakfast sometimes with my friends or getting a new shirt every now and then. But in saying that, I definitely don't shop as much as I used to. I hardly ever go shopping anymore, and I used to go shopping a lot more before I moved out. And I do not go out for food as much as I used to. So if you're thinking about moving out, maybe just take those things into account. How much do you do that now, and will you be able to like go without or go with less of those things that you're enjoying now? I definitely don't have as many luxury items and things like that as I did before I moved out, but to me, it's worth it. So you just have to like weigh it up whether you think it's worth it or not. So I've lived here for almost 4 months, I think. So I have 2 months left on my lease. I'm not sure if I'm going to renew it or not. I haven't decided yet, but I'm just taking it as it comes, and I will go wherever God wants me to go, wherever I feel like He wants me. But I'm so glad that He's led me here for the past 4 months. I have learnt more in the past 4 months than I have in a very, very long time. It's just a very like new experience, and I have really loved it. It's been very challenging, but very, very good, and I think you'll learn so many things when you move out. My biggest negative about this place is it's very far away from where I used to live and everything that I used to do. My job is so far away compared to what it used to be, and that is really difficult for me because I work 4-ish times a week, more or less. My parents' house is a fair drive, and so is my church. And my job, my parents' house, and my church are probably the main things that I do during the week. Like uni, if I lived here or if I lived at my parents' house, wouldn't be much different in terms of how long it would take me to get there, so that doesn't really make a big difference. As for friends, I kind of have friends like scattered around, so it doesn't make a huge difference either. But the fact that it takes me so long to get to work is just really, really frustrating, and that's probably the worst thing about living in this place. But I do love the area that I live in. So, and the other biggest negative is that literally anyone could move into this share house. Like I could have a messy, mean, crazy person move in and I just have to put up with it. So that's another thing that I have to consider if I want to renew the lease. Like I'm living by myself right now, but I'm not going to be living by myself forever, and I understand that. So I need to take that into account and weigh up whether it's worth renewing my lease for another 6 months and having the risk of letting anyone move in and having to deal with them for at least 6 months, or if I should do something else. So I'm still not decided, but yeah, that is my moving out segment done. As for university, overall, I had a good semester. It wasn't terrible and it wasn't amazing, but it was good. University is very different from school in a lot of ways. It's similar in some ways, but it is very different in a lot of ways. If you guys want to see a video on all the differences of university and school, let me know and I will film that for you guys. One of the biggest differences for me is I came from a fairly small high school. There was only 60 something people in my whole grade. And so going to a university where there are literally thousands of people walking around is insane. And universities are so much bigger than high schools. So trying to find your classroom can be crazy. I like the fact that there are a lot of people because no one cares about you in the best way possible. So one of the bad things is that no one cares about you. So you could be really, really struggling and no one's gonna know unless you tell them. Your lecturers don't know who you are and they don't know your name and they don't know if you're struggling unless you talk to them. But that can be a good thing because like I can walk around campus, you know, I could sit in the library and study and no one will interrupt me because no one really cares about what you're doing, which is good. I like that because I like sometimes just having my own time. And at least when I was at high school, I knew everyone, I knew where everything was. So like if I was walking past people, I'd talk to them and rah rah rah. And sometimes it's nice just to have that like alone time, which I really enjoy about university. But it also is difficult because I'm a person who struggles being around a lot of people, like big crowds and stuff. They freak me out. And so in that way, university has been very difficult because there are always just so many people around, but other people wouldn't have that problem. One thing that I really like about university though is that you can literally wear whatever you want. It's good in some ways because you can wear whatever you want, but it's also bad because you have to think of an outfit to wear like every single day or every day that you go into uni because you don't have a uniform, which I had for my entire schooling career. But I really like it because people really express themselves a lot more at university than they did in high school. I kind of feel like in high school you try to fit in a lot more than people do at uni. Like people at uni just wear whatever they want and people have such cool styles. And there are so many different ages, so many different types of people at uni, like it's insane. So as for the actual like class work and stuff like that, I loved my psychology classes, loved them. I had to do 2 compulsory psychology classes this semester and I got to choose 2 electives. For my psychology classes, they were just like introductory psychology classes and I loved them, found them very interesting. As for my electives, I chose linguistics and philosophy. I chose these because I thought they would be useful in what I'm doing. Philosophy is just like a lot of thinking. The class that I did was all about critical thinking. And my logic was that critical thinking can be used in anything. And although it can be, it was not what I expected it to be. With philosophy, I do think I'll use the information that I learned. I do. But it just was boring and I didn't enjoy it. But it was still better than linguistics. Linguistics is all about like language, and I thought it was a lot more about communication rather than like the structure of words and sentences, which is what I did. Not all of linguistics is like that, but the class that I did was all about the words and sentences and structures and sounds of words and things like that, and it was just very weird and so abstract. It was like English on drugs. It was so weird and it was very hard for me to wrap my head around it because I'm very used to the normal like English sort of rules and stuff like that. But in linguistics there are so many different rules and they're very different to English rules because it's all about like how things sound rather than how things actually are written, and like I don't know, it's just a mess and my brain just didn't understand it, and so I hated linguistics. But the thing was, doing those subjects that I didn't like taught me a lot about what I do like, what I don't like, what subjects I want to do, what subjects I want to look at. I'm really glad glad I did linguistics because originally I was debating between doing psychology or speech pathology. And I chose psychology, but if I'd done speech pathology, that's full of linguistics. And so I'm so glad that I did linguistics to like really understand that I don't want to be a speech pathologist. I know that those subjects would be great for other people, but for me personally, I did not enjoy them. And I know other people who did psychology classes and hated them. So don't just go off what I've said about those subjects. Like don't not do linguistics or not become a speech pathologist or not do philosophy just because I've said that. It's just the type of personality I have and the type of thinking that my brain does that made me not enjoy those subjects. So do what you want to do. And you only really learn what you don't like by doing things that you don't like. Because I moved out at the beginning of the semester, like at the same time that I started uni, I think that really impacted my university results. Another thing that happened when I moved out is it took me, I think like 4 or 5 weeks to get internet sorted at my new house. That was really, really difficult. If you're a university student or even a high school student, you would know that internet is so important. And the thing was, my university still takes me like an hour to get there, so I couldn't just go and chill in the library and do my assignments every day because it would take me like an hour to get there and I'd have to pay for parking. So I ended up going to my parents' house a lot, but it still takes me like a decent amount of time to get there. So it was just like, I just wanted to be able to study at my own desk in my own house. And so it took me a very long time to be able to do that. And because I had to travel to do study, it meant that I didn't get to do as much as I would have liked to have done, if that makes any sense. Something that I really recommend is that if you're moving out, figure out your internet situation as fast as you possibly can because it's really important. And because I struggled so much at the beginning of the semester, it really just pushed me back for the rest of the semester. So for the rest of the semester, I was playing catch up on the things that I didn't do as well at the beginning. And I think that if I'd started strong at the beginning and if I'd started with a routine and just like started strongly, the rest of the semester would have flowed a lot more easily than it did. My semesters are broken up into like the first half and the second half, and we have like a week in between. In that week in between, I kind of got my life sorted and I set up a routine for myself. I was definitely too social in the beginning of the year, if that makes any sense. When you're in university, it's very different because you have a lot more time in some ways because you're not at university as much as you are or you were at school. But the thing is, during uni, you often have a job that you need to maintain. And for me, I needed to maintain that because that was my income. That's how I'm paying my rent and all my bills and stuff like that. But you feel like you have so much more spare time compared to school, but you have to be a lot more self-disciplined because the thing is, at school, you're there for 5 days a week for majority of the day and you have to work during that time. At uni, I was only there 1 day a week. I was very lucky. Most people are there more than that. So for the rest of the week, I was free, but I wasn't really free. I had a lot of uni work to do and I had a lot of like actual work at my job to do, but I didn't take that as seriously as I should have. Like in terms of uni work, I just was too social. So in the second half of the semester, I said to myself, I'm going to work and do uni work during the day, and at night and on the weekend I can hang out with my friends. And that worked for me so much better than doing the just like hanging out with my friends every single day or multiple times a week and rah. By having that routine, it just meant that I knew that I had to focus for like the first part of the day, and then after that I could do whatever I wanted. And I know that some of my friends don't like the fact that I'm so busy, and I think a lot of people think I have a lot more time than I really do, but the time that I'm not at uni and I'm not at work, I promise you that I'm actually doing uni work or some sort of work at home. Like I'm never sitting around doing nothing. But yeah, so that's like a big thing I had to learn, was just being more self-disciplined with my time. And I thought I was good at keeping track of routines and, you know, being on time with things, but I really learned that in uni it's just very different, and so you have to just rewire your schedule and things like that. Overall, I didn't get amazing marks this semester, but I also understand that, and I'm not mad at myself for that. I didn't do badly. I think I passed everything. We haven't got our results back, so I don't really know, but from what I can gather, I think I've done good, but I don't think I've done great. And I did a lot better in school than I have done in uni. But I also understand that I had a lot more going on this semester than I usually would, or that I usually have had in the past. So I'm going to try a lot harder next semester to just keep on top of things, start strong, and hold on to a routine that is a balance of work, uni work, and socializing. I think I found that balance, but I think you're always going to be working on that. So yeah, I think that's all I had to say. I'm so sorry that this video was so long, but I just had so much to say because this was a hectic semester. And I'm pretty glad that it's over, to be honest. I'm so happy that I'm on holidays now. But yeah, I've completed my first semester at uni ever. Now I have to go and do it all over again like 7 more times at least. So wish me luck. But I hope this video has helped some of you. If you have any questions about any of the things I've mentioned, leave them in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer them for you guys. I love you guys so much and I really appreciate all the support that you guys give me. But I'll see you guys in my next video very soon. Goodbye.